Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the TripleJump podcast. It's a video game podcast. My name is Ben.
My name is Peter.
And my name is Ashton.
Ashton, how are you doing?
I'm okay.
Star of stage and screen, Ashton Matthews.
No.
Well, you are, because you're on screen
You
right
are.
now.
Yes.
And you were on stage last night.
Yes.
And tonight.
And
So
tonight,
go
and tomorrow
tomorrow.
night, and also Saturday.
And Saturday as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
Saturday. I
Bloody
didn't
hell.
realise it. I thought it
Yes.
ended on Friday.
And on the seventh day, Ashton
Had a sleep.
had a breakdown. of some kind.
Yeah. Well, on the seventh day, it's the show after party. So
Oh my
Ashton's going to be having a drink.
Goodness me.
Yeah.
How's it all going?
Well, I haven't fallen down any stairs.
Good.
Which is my biggest worry. There's a bridge across the
Lots
stage.
of stairs to go up and down.
I go up and down them a lot, and every time I've done it before the show week, I've tripped up the stairs
Oh, have you?
or down.
No.
But we recently realised that there's an odd number of stairs on one side, which is probably why it keeps throwing us off, that we have to like go down
So
one
what's
way.
on the other side?
Well, it's just there's like 4 steps on one side and then there's 5 steps on the other side.
Like five small
we
steps?
think no one's noticed apart from us because we're always on the bridge. So
That's
we just
really
didn't want to bring it up and like bother anyone. So we've just been like taking littler steps down because we keep.
Okay.
missing
Okay.
stuff.
God, that's a difficult thing to wrap your head around, isn't it?
Yeah.
In the heat of the moment.
I sure hope someone got fired for that blunder. Whoever built that.
It's voluntary.
Well, I hope they aren't allowed to volunteer anymore.
Incarcerated, then straight to prison straight away.
It's a lovely show. It's very feel good. When
That's
I got
nice.
up, when I left on Monday, Tuesday, because it wasn't on Monday, I heard about 5 or 6 different parties around me saying, "Oh, well, that was lovely.
Oh.
Wasn't that nice?
That's
That
nice.
was really nice." And that's also what me and Amy turned and said to each other as soon as
That was lovely.
That was that was lovely.
Wasn't she good?
Yeah.
I don't leave the stage the whole time, so you'd hope that someone thought it was good.
Yeah.
I'm coming tonight, and I booked a ticket right in the back corner because I'm coming on my own. And so I was like, I just want to be out of the way. And they emailed me last night and said, "Was this a mistake? Because you can move your seat a bit closer if you'd like."
Oh, really?
And
That's
if it's
nice
not
of
a
them.
mistake, you don't need to reply. And I was like, "It's not a mistake. I just want to hide.
That's so far away.
Just want to hide in the back."
You might not even be able to hear me.
I was on
What?
the 4th row.
There
and she
are
clocked
microphones,
me.
aren't
There's
there?
not.
No.
No.
It's
Okay.
all projection.
Well, then I'm sure it'll be fine.
I
Ashton's
clocked
clocked
Peter.
me, I think, quite
Quite
quickly.
early
Did
on.
you go?
Yeah.
No, he
Take a-
had
take a
he had the
photo.
TripleJump hoodie on.
Yeah,
and I
okay.
saw the TripleJump hoodie first, and I thought, oh God, I hope that's Peter Austin wearing a TripleJump hoodie.
I'm not a fan.
And not someone else. And then I looked up and I saw Peter and his lovely wife.
Oh.
But yeah,
I wasn't planning
I talk
on-
out a lot to the audience, so
Okay.
I can like see what everyone's doing.
Right.
And Peter was like right in the like last set of chairs before you can't see anyone anymore. And I was like, oh, Peter and Amy.
I was going to
There we
bring
are.
lots of really distracting signs, like in
Yeah.
wrestling.
Yeah.
So I thought
Just
if
like
I go right at
One
the
of those spinny like
the rattles.
Yeah,
If I
yeah,
go
yeah.
right at the back, then I'll be less.
You'll just
obstructive.
hear him, but not see him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're doing great.
Ben's going right at the back so
That
that
size has 5 stairs on it.
if he doesn't show up, I won't know.
Yeah, that's true.
That's not true. I have paid for a ticket and
I was
I've brought a
aware-
packed tea, so I'm going.
I was aware that if Ashton saw me, she may feel uncomfortable. So I was planning on not wearing a TripleJump hoodie, but we didn't end up having time to go home and change in the end. That was always the plan. So I went straight from work and I was like, well, here I am representing.
It's also why I just need to put on my sunglasses and then I'm wearing the Marvel superhero disguise, whenever
Yeah.
they're in public and they just wear a baseball cap and a pair of sandals. That's it. So you who's that mysterious
I was
man?
kind of like accidentally wearing that into the theatre yesterday, and
Really?
I thought I don't want people to think that I'm doing this because I don't want
'Cause you
people
think
You're
to
a
know
big
who I
star.
am.
You're a
You're a
stage
huge
But
star.
I was just like, I have to go downstairs and not talk to anyone for a minute because I didn't have a voice, so
man.
I was not allowed to talk to anyone.
So
when
we're
I
going to
got
have a
the
nice,
theatre.
chill
Yeah.
podcast today. Star of stage and screen, Ashton
You
Matthews.
shouldn't really be podcasting. I
It's
think.
okay, I
very
had a
lucky
lozenge.
we're very lucky to have her today. She's only working half day, so then she can go and sleep before she has to.
Not true. I
No.
have to entertain family.
She's got socialising to do.
God,
That's why she's
okay.
got a half day. It's nothing to do with the play.
Yeah, I'm in tomorrow.
Mental. You're
Yeah.
mad, you are. I wouldn't be in at all. Anyway, this isn't a play podcast. This is a video game podcast where we talk
It is
about
technically playing.
things that people play.
Yeah.
Just very different semantics. Each and every week, we're sponsored by a very real video game adjacent sponsor. Helps us keep the one bulb on in this room.
Yeah.
Dead Island 2: The Spider is present today? Question mark.
Maybe
No.
not.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. Might be a bit of dust.
You reckon?
A couple of dead islands in your bathroom, I noticed.
Oh, I
Yeah.
haven't been in there this morning.
Well, no, not today. Yesterday or the day before. Don't know. Someone and the same. I assume the same person had poured water all over the floor again last time I was in there.
Are you sure it's water? Knowing this,
Well, it's
office.
around the sink, so I hope.
But the sink
so.
is right next to the toilet.
Yeah, it could
No.
be anything. But you walk in, and
true.
it's sort of like
It's been like a
pat,
small
pat,
flood.
pat.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Goodness me.
Not quite sure what.
Someone
was
is
going
like
on there.
filling up their palms with water and just,
Yeah.
Wow.
just splashing it around the place.
Whatever it takes
That's
to
what it
wake
looks
you
like.
up, right?
Yeah.
I suppose. Peter, I believe you have the ad read in front of you there.
I've got it right here.
Okay.
Hey, it's real hungry work using rudimentary firearms. Like you have to put the powder
What
in
is-
there.
what's that?
You have to like wank it off.
No.
You have to put the powder in and then do the
Like a
the
musket.
little fluffy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Push it down
Yeah.
and then
Yeah, put the ball
pull
in.
back, put the ball in, pull
Yeah,
back
pull
the
it in.
hammer, and it's probably a lot stiffer and harder to pull than a more modern day firearm.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it's also important, not just to be able to do that, but to
It's
also
a really long run up.
It is, yeah. It's also important not just to be able to do that,
Right.
but to also think about the planet.
Of course.
Think about-
it's rare that I'm not thinking about the
Think
planet.
about all of God's creatures. Maybe the reason you've got the gun is because you're going to shoot one of God's creatures, but let's put that aside.
We're all God's
We're not going
creatures.
to do that, actually. No, the reason we've got the gun is to shoot targets.
Oh, okay.
But it's hungry work being such a good person.
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
What is it, Peter?
So don't eat meat. Flintlock, the Siege of Quorn,
My God.
is coming
There
out.
had to be a better way to get there.
That's where we started and that's where we ended up.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's out.
Nothing's coming out this month.
Right. Solid
Apart
7
from
out of
that.
10 game, that one.
Yeah.
Is it out?
It's been reviewed. Reviews went up for it. I don't know
Right.
if it's out. It's a Game Pass game?
No.
No?
Don't
I thought
think
it
so.
were. Okay. never mind.
Maybe. I don't know.
Oh,
This week
Concord's
is I've
coming
not
out, isn't
looked
it?
at anything.
Could-
Well, the beta, yeah, you could have
Could
done.
have done that.
Yeah, Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn is coming out.
That is coming
Concord
out.
has
Is
been
the Quorn one coming out?
discontinued. Like the
No,
the
it's a
plane.
lie.
Hmm?
Is it?
What? Huh?
What?
We're all
What?
having six
Concord has been
conversations.
discontinued like the plane.
Like the
yeah.
plane. Yeah, there we
Indeed.
are.
It's not real.
It's not real. Well,
No.
Quorn
Well,
isn't.
that's
Quorn isn't
crazy.
real, is it?
No, it's not.
Fake.
It's just made
What
up.
is Quorn?
Hmm?
What is Quorn?
Mushroom.
It's mycoproteins.
mycoprotein.
Right.
Lab grown, yummy. But sometimes you get them battered and they're shaped like chicken nuggets, and they're actually.
And they're really good.
Really
the
good.
corn,
I actually really
the
like
corn
corn.
nuggets are really good.
I was very surprised to discover that a lot of the Quorn's range isn't vegan. I just assumed that it
Oh.
was, but it's not. A lot of it has egg in it.
Oh,
Yeah,
didn't know that.
it's a shame.
Love
Anyway.
corn though.
Quorn's great.
Corn cubes in a curry.
Yeah.
It is basically just like chicken, but slightly different. in
Tastes a bit
texture.
funny, I think.
Do you think?
Yeah.
It's not quite
Not if you
chicken.
cover it in,
It's
gel
got a funny
phrasing.
aftertaste.
Do we want to be? Should we keep talking about Quorn? We could end up being sponsored by them for real.
Possibly, yeah.
Well, then I
Although
should
you've
stop saying bad
you
things
should.
about
You should
them
say
then.
how much you love it.
Those of you who live
I love
elsewhere-
the chicken nuggets.
The chicken nuggets are
corn
very good.
nuggets. If you don't live in the UK, by the way, corn is a meat replacement.
Is that not a
microprotein.
thing elsewhere?
I don't know.
No idea.
Yeah.
Anyway, regardless, thank you very much, Quorn, for sponsoring this week's podcast.
Yeah.
Wait, no, that's not it. Flintlock Siege of Quorn.
The Siege of Corn.
That is also not sponsoring us. We're sponsored by our wonderful patrons over at patreon.com/Team TripleJump. If you go and support us there, you get to do all sorts of things, including submitting podcasts, this question, help, watching worst and weirdest games before anybody else, and all sorts of other stuff. So go check it out, patreon.com/Team TripleJump, triplejU.mp, triplej.mup. That's our website. There you can find links to our YouTube, Twitch, Discord if you want a cameo from any of us, triplejumpshop.com if you'd like some merchandise. Disappointed today, Matthews. Well done, Peter.
I'm fully in my
Doubled
jogging
up.
bottoms, and I've got dressed in a haze this
You're in your
morning.
what?
I'm in my jogging bottoms.
Oh.
I'm chilling today.
We should be cross because we're your bosses, but I think it's fine.
I didn't
You're
notice
in
you
your
were
jogging
in-
bottoms.
Yeah, that's because I cycled in and I'm the boss. So I can do
Can
what
do what
I
I
want.
want.
Yeah. I don't think you look too comfy.
No, I didn't think
You've
that
kind of
either.
drawn attention
Cool.
to it now. I wouldn't have really known that it was.
Okay, well that's fine.
I guess it shows that like when you do really make the effort,
No one
you even bother.
notices, yeah.
The curse of working in a
Honestly.
boy office. right?
Truly, I think I could probably come in anything except my Udi, and I don't think anyone would notice.
I don't think anyone would notice the Udi either. Really.
No, to be
Just like,
honest.
oh, and then carry on.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There's a few things out this week, aren't there? Well, actually, no, there's one main thing out this week, along with the other things that come out every week.
Yeah. Worst games ever, Viet Cong Purple Haze. Ooh, new thumbnail.
Oh, very nice. Nice art of us.
Oh,
Lovely.
yeah.
Ooh, we do
Fun.
like that. Very nice. Also, we had a sponsored list that went out on Thursday. We were sponsored by the Elder Scrolls Online Gold Road, the new expansion. There is a link in the description and the pinned comment of that video. It would help us out so much if you would go to that list and click through it. It's the 10 best SNES games.
Just click on it. That's all you need to do, I think.
Click on it, yeah. And then that ticks up on their side and they see that, oh, people have clicked through and that's nice. And that really helps us. So if you could do that, we'd really appreciate it. And also, it's the Elder Scrolls Online. People love that. Go check it out. Shall we crack on with question 1?
Yes, question 1. Question 1 comes from Janet Wicks. It says, "Hi, Bab. With several new scandals with Twitch streamers popping up, feuds, illicit dealings, etc., how much influence do you think streamers have on the game industry, and do you think these bad apples give streamers a bad reputation to the general public?" Things have been happening this week and for many weeks. In fact, for many years,
For always.
unfortunately.
Yes.
The biggest story really is Dr. Disrespect, who in 2017, apparently, this is an old thing that happened, whispered, which is the direct messaging system on Twitch, a minor on Twitch, and was apparently trying to meet them at TwitchCon. He's recently set up a game studio called Midnight Society, who have now let him go in response to this. And he's subsequently put out a statement on Twitter, or X, saying, "Were there Twitch whisper messages with an individual minor back in 2017? The answer is yes. Were there real intentions behind these messages? The answer is absolutely not. These were casual, mutual conversations that sometimes leaned too much in the direction of being inappropriate, but nothing more. Nothing illegal happened. No pictures were shared. No crimes were committed." Well, that's all right then.
Yeah, doubt that very much.
YouTube has subsequently demonetized his present and future channels. And additionally, another story going on with controversy is that Boogie2988 has been claiming to have cancer for, I think, a couple of years now. But his community have spotted discrepancies between things he's claimed on one occasion and things he's subsequently claimed.
Okay.
And now are saying it seems very unlikely that you actually have cancer. He, at one point, was scamming people with crypto coin that I think on at least a single occasion, if not more, he justified setting up this cryptocurrency as "I need to pay for my cancer treatment." And so he is now failing to provide any concrete evidence for the fact that he ever had cancer. And maybe he has had it and been treated, or maybe it's under investigation, and maybe he does have, he's waiting for a diagnosis, but he has seemingly made some strong claims that are not true, even if there is some basis in the truth. So that is another bit of controversy going on right now.
Okay.
Yeah. I do think this is bad to an extent. I think it's a bad thing for the reputation of streamers in the general public, because these things do actually make mainstream news on occasion. We have worked with people in the past at various companies who have caused problems, and when they've caused problems, I remember them being on the BBC News app, like the 5th most read story or whatever. I've had to, I've gone home to visit family within a few weeks or months of those incidents, and they've said, "How's work?" And I've said, this thing happened. And sometimes it's been met with, "Oh yeah, I saw that. Oh, do they work at your company?" So I think there's definitely, these things reach the eyes and ears of people who aren't even in the industry. And that alone is a bad thing, because if that's the only real exposure that your mum and dad or whoever are getting to Twitch streamers and YouTubers, of course that's going to give them a bad reputation. That being said, I don't know how long these things last in those people's thoughts and memories. I don't think they think about streamers very much, full stop. And that in itself, I suppose, is a bad thing, that people are so quick to forget, whether you are a mum and dad who don't care about video gaming, or even worse, if you're actually in the industry, people can often be very quick to forget these things, which is a huge part of the problem.
I think also, it's the general public thing is difficult because, as I feel like we all know about everything in life, the bad things are reported on much more frequently than the good things. I think, I hate to use an example so close to home, but the Yogscast, obviously every Christmas did the Jingle Jam and raise an astronomical amount of money. However, some people, even now, remember the Yogscast from some of the things that happened a few years ago that were bad, and a few bad apples in that bunch.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a shame, but it's a good thing that people be like, well, this thing happened and we don't ever want this to happen again. It's done now and we are so much more aware this will never happen. However, your mum might remember the Terps incident, but she won't remember that every Christmas they raise lots of money. But I think that, like, as much as streamers, I don't think have that much sway in the games industry. I don't think that all the sexual harassment allegations start with streamers and trickle down to the rest of the games industry. I think that there's two separate problems going on here. However, I do think that the games industry should and could have more of an effect on streamers in terms of showing that if you do something bad, you will not be given a second or third or fourth chance. I think that some of these games companies value how much money this streamer can bring in for them more than they value the morals and the how can you sell your soul? How much will you sell your soul for kind of energy. Like Dr. Disrespect getting, well, they are getting rid of it now, that like model in a game or something.
I can't remember which game that is.
I think it's a game that actually no one plays anymore, but they have still
got rid of it.
They've like, we know no one even plays our game anymore. We're going to get rid of this.
Yeah. But it's just one of those things where I feel like games companies will still offer these bad people the option to come to PR events or invite them to big conferences or give them game codes for free. And I just think that there should be more vetting done on the parts of these games companies to be like, this person is objectively terrible, has done terrible things, has scammed children out of money, for some examples we've seen in the past, and yet still is allowed to come to these things and socialize with people who have done nothing wrong and are not nonces, which is seemingly becoming harder and harder to be in a room without a nonce nowadays in the streaming world. But yeah, I just think like there's a whole issue of like online literacy with such young kids being on these platforms. They're so new and parents don't understand them, and parents see things like Twitch streamer is nonce, and then they're like, all Twitch streamers must be bad. Son, get off of Twitch. It's all bad. Then the kid's like, no, you don't understand. And then it's a whole thing. And then probably we'll end up back on Twitch and maybe we'll be in a more vulnerable place. I think that online literacy is becoming an issue. I don't think even necessarily with kids. I think online literacy with the adults who have these kids is becoming an issue. They don't understand what their kids are doing. And that makes them ripe for the predator's plucking when it comes to things on Twitch with the level of power, like disparity and the parasocial relationships that some people develop with streamers. So
I don't think really that the general public think about streaming at all day to day, unless it comes up in the news, as you guys said. The only context through which most of the general public will ever think about streaming for even a second is if their kids watch it, if they have a teenager who watches it. And then if they see this news, then they're going to be furious. They're going to make complaints. You've potentially then got governmental agencies and bodies getting involved and forcing new legislation through, legislation, that's the word, through to change things. And that is precisely the kind of thing that we had with the Logan Paul incident from a number of years ago. And he's worked very hard to rebuild that reputation, but Peter and I were working in YouTube at the time, and that forest video he made changed the entire landscape of YouTube.
Like overnight.
Yeah, like it just
literally
cut it at the knees in terms of ad revenue and the checks that you have to do to make sure things are advertiser friendly. You can't say dead anymore. You can't swear even a little bit anymore if you want any ad revenue. It's absolutely insane. And the priority, obviously, is to protect children and to protect vulnerable people. And that should be Twitch and YouTube's number one priority, because otherwise this will happen again. People will get involved. Government bodies will make sweeping changes. And while I don't think that these bad apples give streamers a bad reputation to the general public is necessarily true, I do think streaming platforms in general will get a bad name in the general public's eye. And that will potentially just trickle down to completely destroy the platform for anyone who's using it normally and is not being a colossal arse. But as I said, the vulnerable people need to be protected. And while I haven't looked into it enough because everything is just so bloody depressing, the fact that Dr. Disrespect, when was he removed? Like 2017?
I think so. That's when the
initial ban.
whispering was happening.
Right. And there was speculation for ages about why he had been removed. And I think was there some sort of, he was outed potentially recently?
The reason this all came to light was because I don't know if it's a former or current Twitch employee, got quite higher up in Twitch. I think an NDA ran out and they just said the reason Dr. Disrespect was banned was because he was whispering with a 16-year-old and trying to meet her at TwitchCon. And that's why it happened. And then Dr. Disrespect comes out and says, yeah, right, it was happening, but nothing bad happened, promise. But he only said it because someone else decided to say it after they hadn't been able to.
So clearly there was some sort of NDA agreement between Twitch and himself. The fact that Twitch clearly did not want this to come out, I think speaks volumes. And that is a huge failing on their part, because while, yes, they are going to lose money by removing someone as popular from Dr. Disrespect, and his fans are going to say, oh, flip Twitch, we don't know the reason. Why'd you get rid of him? Blah, blah, blah. No one's saying anything. Optically, it would have been a really bad look at the time for them to say, yes, one of our biggest Twitch streamers has been messaging an underage girl, and it happened through our whisper service, which clearly has absolutely no safeguarding process whatsoever. Yeah. That is a horrible look for them. And from that perspective, obviously, that's why they didn't want it to come out. But it's now blowing up. And this clearly should have been addressed in a proper way. And I sincerely hope that now that it is out in the public eye, more is done to safeguard people on that platform, because this kind of stuff makes things worse for everybody involved. And it's such the streaming platform holders need to do way more to protect people, clearly.
There needs to be, I think there needs to be some legal reform if possible. Because I think as you say, Ashton, sometimes people get cancelled, or they do certain things that lead to them being taken off these services or whatever, and then some of them seem to come back, and they end
up on the cesspool that is Kick.
Well, they'll do that. They'll come back off their own back and go to Kick, or they might actually be invited to some event or something, saying like, oh yeah, second chance, come and be part of our marketing or whatever for this game. And I think as a general rule, probably actually hopefully a pretty firm rule, that doesn't necessarily happen for people who have actively broken the law and been convicted, because I think very few companies would hopefully want to do that with someone who's been convicted of something. But probably where it does happen more is where, as in this instance, no crimes took place, is what Dr. Disrespect has said. I don't know where the line is with messaging a minor and trying to meet them at TwitchCon and saying that some of the messages leaned into the inappropriate. I mean,
wasn't there a whole television show in America?
About
no crimes were committed there either, but you're done, right?
Yeah. Well, surely I think crimes were committed there because they would arrest them at the end of it.
But they would,
but then surely that would be enough then, the messaging and the intent.
Well, exactly.
But I think there's a line. There's a line of
That's the thing. Those are run by companies who know exactly where you have then you have broken the law by doing this.
Whereas if you skirt the line and don't quite ever push just past it.
Which is probably what's happened here. Which is why I think there needs to be more, if not legal reform, to catch people out for doing this kind of thing, which I think we all know is morally reprehensible, if not legally at the moment. If we don't do that, then certainly, as we were saying earlier, it's up to the services to an extent, take the law into their own hands and say, this is not okay. All right, you're not going to go to jail for this, but we need to say, we're going to lose money getting rid of, for example, Dr. Disrespect, but that's what's going to happen because I don't want to sell my soul, So, but as we seem to say very often on this podcast, big companies love money.
Love money.
Yeah.
Love it.
Just try not to. Please, just don't be a dick. It's
not hard,
actually kind of easy to not
Yeah.
be a dick. Unfortunately, though, because the world is a complete horror show, I think we all know Dr. Disrespect will take a couple of years out, if that, and he'll come back to some platform. And
With another terrible character, horrible. What a horrible man as
he's
well.
a horrible guy, and
Yeah.
he will just make so much money. People will queue up to see him, and that is not fair, and it's not right. But it's happened before, and it will probably happen here too.
Like what's her name? The toxic gossip train.
Colleen Ballinger.
Yeah, wasn't that?
I mean,
Some of that was
she's
about-
making content now, but it's
messaging
not
people and meeting
quite
people.
kids. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's back. She's just carry on making content.
But again, that's that skirting the line
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
of,
Yeah.
Yes, it was inappropriate, but it wasn't illegal.
I don't know what platform holders actively can do apart from keeping 24-hour tabs on, which they shouldn't have to do because people shouldn't behave.
But there are
like
ways
this,
that
but-
people get punished for doing nothing, like entire channels being demonetized because someone pretended to copyright claim your thing saying it was mine.
That's true,
And
yeah.
your whole channel gets demonetized and it's impossible to get that channel monetization back. And then it's like, oh, so this guy didn't do anything. And then you get people who actually do bad things and will get away with it.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, you're not monetized for 30 days. And it's like, brilliant.
Love it.
Good one.
Yeah, we're going to demonetize this one specific video that is in relation to the thing that you did, but don't worry about the rest.
Great. It's a good system. Works
It's so
really,
good.
really well. What's this written on here, Ashton?
Oh yeah, it's a new segment that I came up with this week, and I think
Okay.
we should do it. It's called "What We Playin."
All right. It's What We Play in time. Time to talk about the games what we have been playing. Peter,
Yes.
what have you been playing?
I played two things this week. One thing that I did was play some Jackbox with some friends. We do it every so often. We get on a call, we play some silly games, and we have a good time, and that was nice. But mainly what I've been playing on my own is I'm desperately, I think I said last week, desperately trying to just fill while I wait for Star Wars Outlaws to come out. There's probably just enough time that if I actually started something significant, I would actually get it done, but I daren't. So instead, I've been playing a game that I have wanted to play in full for a very long time, and I own a copy, but I've never completed it, which is Soul Reaver, Legacy of Kain on PS1, which I've been enjoying very much, even though it is a bit, I mean, everywhere you go, there are monsters growling at you. It's not difficult, but, you know, and all the visual design is very gothic. All the music is quite sort of, I don't know quite how to describe it, but, you know, it's a bit of it's just quite a sort of dark, gloomy game. And the cutscene voice acting is like very serious. So, there was a bit where a new type of enemy was introduced. I wandered into this room, and a lot of the monsters that you fight are they were vampires like thousands of years ago, but they've like evolved into new monsters. And I walked into this room, and Raziel, the lead, was like, "These new beasts, their scent was vampiric, but they gorged on the remains of bodies like they were." And I was like,
Wow.
all right, just calm down. But
The drama, I
a
love
lot of
it.
drama, yeah. But it's very overacted in quite a good way. I'm enjoying it. Don't get me wrong, but it's an experience, and far more puzzly than I expected it to be as well. I thought there'd be just a lot of platforming. He can glide just like Spyro, and I thought there'd be more combat than there is. But I'm pushing blocks around all the time. I'm having to like.
Sounds fun.
It's fun. You can like reality shift, like phase into a different kind of plane. So you'll be in a room where there are like columns going up to the ceiling, and then he'll do a bit of magic, and you'll shift into a different parallel world, and like the pillars will like twist down and turn into a jumping puzzle and stuff like that. And you know, so I'm having a great time, but yeah, it's quite intense at times. But that's it. That's all I've played.
I've not had much time on my hands
No,
this
I
week.
suppose not.
But I have played one thing, but it'll be a quick one because you've already heard about it before. Fallout 76. I've played more of it. Still looking for screws. Every time I find some screws, my armor breaks and I have to use the screws to fix
God, yeah,
my
I remember
armor.
that.
All I want to do is get a flipping power armor hanger, whatever it's called. But I have to get all these flipping screws. So that's what I've been doing this week. I played it for like
Looking for
3
screws.
hours and I was just looking for screws.
Sounds really fun.
Yes.
Sounds like you guys have just had loads of fun.
Yeah.
To be fair, actually, I do like Fallout 76, and my boyfriend is now like he played it without me because I've been out a lot, and he was like, I'm at the point where you like how I get normally. It's like, can we play Fallout when you've got to spend it? So yeah, we're big Fallout fans in the house at the moment. Fallout 76 specifically.
Nice.
I think my thing is that like most of this week I've been on my hands and knees laying gravel and stuff in my house. We've got
In
the-
your
In your
house.
house,
Yeah, in the house. No,
This is the crunch room.
at my house.
the bathroom
yeah.
is gravelled now.
I've been like pegging boards.
Pegging?
Beg your pardon. Jesus, hands
I've
and
been
knees, gravel
Edging
room.
is actually the word. I've been edging and pegging in my garden, and
God,
then
no wonder you're tired.
And then I
Yeah.
come into the house, I'm like, God, I'm knackered. I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna like play a game, and then I sit down, and Raziel's like, the demons emerged from the black gate. I'm like, all right, but it's a good game. I'm
Yeah.
enjoying it. But
Yeah.
I'm very much
Just a
head
lot.
empty, run around Fallout find screws kind
Yeah.
of week. So
Nice. I finished my book.
Oh,
no
congratulations.
way.
Yes, Dead or Alive, the Borderlands 3 book. It did sort of feel like there were very few pages left and it was ramping up to everything being concluded at the same time. And I was, oh, okay. So it sort of finished quite rapidly.
Right.
Right.
But I like where it left it. I liked just the book in general. I do think genuinely it was a really entertaining piece of Borderlands fiction. It was well written. It was funny. And I, as I've said several times, hold out hope that Anthony Birch will return to the Borderlands series proper to assist with writing. Can't be long now before Borderlands 4. Played some Borderlands 3, actually. That's
yes,
something I did.
forgot. I also did that.
Mhm. That was good
With
fun.
you.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
correct.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Just a colleague thing.
Just a
Yeah,
colleague
well, that's
thing.
all right.
I played a little bit of Diablo 3, and I've played a bit of Final Fantasy 8 as well. A bit more of that. I've not played much. I have officially graduated and am now a seed. Hold your applause. Thank you. Hold it. Means I can now be a mercenary all over the world.
He told you to hold
apparently.
I held it for like a whole 30
True.
seconds.
You did hold
30 seconds. I am enjoying it. I'm still liking playing it, basically with cheats on, so I can kill everything really easily.
Nice.
But yes, looking forward to playing more of that when I get a moment. I similarly I've not done any graveling, grouting, or pegging,
pegging or edging.
Or edging.
but when I do get in, I've had this entire week, I've just sort of been, my eyes are totally glazed over, and I think I just want to watch television. I don't want to do anything with my hands and fingers. But it was the Concord beta last weekend for the game that everyone's decided is the worst thing that's ever existed.
Oh, God, I keep forgetting this game's even coming out.
How could you?
I saw the ad on YouTube. It was
Did
effective.
you?
That trailer from before. It was like,
Ah,
oh,
the one
before you
everyone
watch this
hated.
video.
The one that you're like,
watch
wow,
it.
this looks cool. What is it? And then you find out what
It's
it is.
Concord. It's a 5v5 hero shooter. Well, I'm going to tell you all about it with James Jackets in the review corner right now.
Oh.
Ah, and here we are in a
Oh.
review corner.
Hello.
I've snuck in.
Hi, James.
Hello, Ben. I'm here with Ben. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, thank you. So excited to tell you about Concord.
Oh boy, I've heard some things about this. How have you found it?
Well, I played the beta that was open
Yes.
to PlayStation Plus subscribers last weekend. Now, interestingly,
Uh-huh.
this weekend was not originally for PlayStation Plus subscribers.
Ah.
The weekend after was meant to be for PlayStation
Okay.
Plus subscribers. That first weekend was meant to be for people who pre-ordered the game. Now, this tells me one of two things.
So there's drama already.
Either there weren't enough pre-orders, and
Yeah,
so they decided
yeah.
to open it up, or the backlash to this game has been so seismic that they decided to, you know what, just everyone come in and have a go and see what you think, and
Yeah.
let's all stop let's all stop saying it's a dead game before it's even even seen it, you know?
Yeah. So just for context, this was the one that was revealed about last month in the Sony showcase?
So it was,
not showcase, but
the State of Play. So it was announced a couple of years ago, and then it was shown off properly with like a big sort of CG trailer, very Guardians of the Galaxy. Huge amount of effort. And then it went to the gameplay, and it was a 5v5 hero shooter, and everyone was like, "Boo! This is rubbish."
And even the cutscenes, people were sort of dunking on that being a bit, budget Guardian sort of aspect.
Exactly. We were talking
not off to a good start
before we even recorded this about how the fact that they do. It is very sort of. They've taken the Marvel writing style, the quips. You've got an eclectic group of people in space. You've got a robot who looks really menacing, but like speaks really nicely. You literally have a Drax analog, and he is called Star Child, which feels so on the nose. But then you would label that as budget, but it's so apparently not budget.
Exactly.
It's so high budget.
Yeah.
There's so much money that's gone into this because the cutscenes are gorgeous and the game looks really nice. Like it's a really good looking game. The USP obviously is that there's meant to be these weekly cutscenes that you log in and that you get, and it being a beta over the course of one weekend, we didn't get that. We got a sort of introductory cutscene, and then there's another cutscene that I think is meant to demonstrate like the weekly installments. I have a few issues with this, mainly because I don't know what I was imagining in my head, and this might have been too much to be fair, but if the USP of them doing this weekly cutscene is to sort of ingratiate the team and the crew and the various people to you and the ship and their camaraderie and tell a bit of a story, I imagined that rather than just a menu, and this is the beta, so it may not be like this in the full game. Rather than just a menu, there might be like a ship that you wander around and everyone's there. So at least like there's some kind of interaction. As it stands,
it's taken enough from Guardians. They might as well.
Exactly. Just make it Mass Effect. As it stands, though, you've got a menu and you turn it on, and a new cutscene plays. And I don't know who any of these people are. There's no
just thrown in at deep end.
There's no introduction. It's like there's just three random people talking about and paying respect to a map because the map is significant. Because like the map or the spaceways used to be controlled by the overseers. That's not what they're called.
So the government in the lore and the general background, but in a weird way.
We should pay respect because the people who came before us stole this map and they gave it to everyone so we could all do this. And I'm sitting there thinking, but what is it that you do? I don't know what you're doing. Why are we here?
Maybe that's just a beta thing. Maybe they've thrown in like a cutscene that's like 3 or 4, chapters or
possibly
cutscenes in.
It's entirely possible because there's like 16 heroes you can play as in the beta. I don't know if there are more in the full game. So they're only they're only showing a few at a time, and then like what do you want? You want people to check in every week and get an update like to maybe piece it, because it's not like Dark Souls lore where you're piecing it together. It's like I literally don't know who these people are. You haven't told me who they are. And then you've got the issue that they're not going on some grand adventure to like steal stuff or like, I don't know. Again, I'm not sure what it is they're doing. What they're doing is fighting mirror versions of themselves on several maps over and over again because it's a 5v5 hero shooter. So it just seems to be like tonally completely at odds with what you're actually doing in the game.
It sounds like it sounds like a struggle to sort of match those two elements together, like big sort of cutscene story heavy, and then it's a hero shooter. So how do you blend that story mode into what's essentially just the same multiplayer type of maps and game modes? It's crazy.
It's a really, I like it as a USP. But
it's interesting.
I think a different approach is needed because I'm not a fan of hero shooters. I think mainly because I'm bad at them, and people are seeing gameplay of me dying over and over again. So you'll know. I think I had one run where I got like 4 kills without
play
dying.
Of the game.
Exactly, and it was like, oh, what a lucky boy. And then it was just dying over and over again. This is not my genre at all. But it is also a big disconnect for me generally from hero shooters like Overwatch, which also has some kind of narrative. But then they're fighting each other over and over, and I don't really understand that. So this might just be an issue that I have with the genre, but I feel like it's exacerbated when there's an intended focus on story that doesn't make sense. So there's that. But outside of that, it's pretty fun to play.
Nice,
there were only
yeah.
2 game modes available. Brawl, which has like really fast respawns, which was quite fun to be fair, because when you die, you do just come straight back.
Yeah.
And it's essentially team deathmatch.
Yeah,
either
like TDM. Yeah.
First to the most kills wins, or when you kill someone, they drop like a tag, and you have to pick up their tags, but their enemy can pick
Kill
their team.
confirmed-esque.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
The enemy can pick up their tags as well to revert, stop you from winning a point, etc.
Nice.
And also rivalry, which unlocks when you reach level 6, which is more. There's no respawns, and you have to like hold an area. It's more sort of search and destroy.
Yeah.
From Call of
Very
Duty,
good.
that kind of stuff. I played as a few different characters. Some of them were definitely more fun than others. They've all got their own weapons and like sort of traversal techniques. There's 2 powers that are mapped to L1 and R1.
Yeah.
So it's simple enough to play. And the guy that I liked playing as literally has traversal called TripleJump, which was pretty fun. So he can jump 3 times. He's got like a
brand.
sort of LMG type weapon. He can throw an orb that tracks onto someone and hurts them if it hits them, and also a healing orb towards his friends as well. Problem I had is that it being a beta and it having just come out, there was no tactical teamwork whatsoever. So people just picked what they liked, and everyone just died really quickly.
It's just a free for all, yeah.
Precisely.
Interesting. So would you say like out of the heroes that you tried, they seem unique enough? There's like enough sort of interesting elements there.
I think
the
there's
powers.
a decent amount of variety. Again, it's not my genre, so I don't have a great deal of experience. But there's certainly, there's 60, so there are a lot of heroes available, and they're all slightly different. I think some people took issues with some of the bigger heroes in that they were just so slow that they definitely need tweaking. But I didn't bother with those. So I didn't see that.
I guess more perfect for like tactical stuff, becoming like the tank element, if indeed there are those sort of archetypes sort of thing.
Yeah, I think so. They had symbols next to their names. It wasn't very well explained.
Good.
Whenever you win, there's like an avalanche of XP, and you unlock new like logos for your card and your call sign, and you can unlock skins for your character, and seemingly there's
standard trappings,
daily, weekly, whatever challenges and stuff where you get XP as well, and there's some sort of mechanic in there where you earn XP for crew members that are being played by other people on your team. So I've earned unlocks and XP for characters that I've never used, which I thought was quite an interesting approach. I'm not really sure how that works, but
it's like sort of topping them up. That, you know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of like the later Pokemon games where you get a thing to share out the XP. It's like, I don't want to play as you, but just level up.
Just slowly level up in the background. So that was basically my experience with it. I'm not a hero shooter fan, as I've said several times, but I was playing with a few friends, and one of them, who's a big Overwatch fan and has played lots of games like it, made the very valid point that it's good enough. Like, there's nothing inherently wrong with it. The problem is that it's a very crowded market, and this game costs money, and the other games are free. And that, I think, is, if more so than anything else, will be the nail in the coffin here, outside of the fact that a lot of the internet has decided that it's the worst thing ever.
I think that doesn't help.
Certainly doesn't help.
The whole sort of potential cringe factor of like the dialogue and stuff, and just judging it beforehand. It's just going to come down to a simple fact of that cost, isn't it? Which is such a shame. And I feel like it's kind of a couple of years too late. Like Overwatch like brought up the whole hero shooter thing into mass market appeal, and then Overwatch 2 killed it. So it's kind of like, I don't know how well it's gonna do, but hey, I mean, that's one other thing I was gonna ask as well. Does it feel like, in terms of traversal, I've seen a lot of people floating around, looks very Destiny-like.
Yeah, one of the characters definitely has sort of like, you double tap X and then you're in the air,
just,
sort of hovering
floating around. So the basic sort of gunplay and like gameplay like that feels very sort of tight, and because Destiny was like spot on with that sort of stuff.
I felt like it was very generous in that there was definitely. There probably was some level of aim assist in there anyway, but certainly when I was playing and when I died on the no respawn and I was watching other people, someone would fire at someone who was vaguely within their reticle as they like ducked behind cover and still hit them. So I think that
bit of issues there, but
there's it may not be as tight as a Destiny, but certainly I think they've made it accessible.
Well, that's good.
Although I still died bloody loads, and I could see it developing its own meta. Like, they've got a Star Child on their team. We need to counteract that. Use your doohickeys.
We got a Drax. We got a Drax here.
Throw your orbs or whatever. But It's not for me. I'm not going to stick around
That's
for
fair,
it. But certainly
Not
not
with
the
stories.
absolute disaster that everyone is saying that it is. In fact,
good.
I went on the PlayStation Store and it's currently rated like 3.5 stars on there, and the beta.
That
this
could be
is
worse, I suppose.
Well, exactly.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
then I looked at the reviews and like half of them are 5 stars and half of them are 1 star.
one of
so it's
those,
like
right,
it's
right.
that where some people are like, "This is the greatest thing I've ever seen," or "Boo, I've not
Yeah.
even played it. I'm just going to give it 1 star because I'm a choo-choo. I'm on the hate train."
There's no nuance in user reviews these days.
No, not at all. It's unremarkable.
Yeah.
It is going to come out. I don't think it's going to be the same success that Sony had with Helldivers in terms of having another live service game, but I wish it the best.
It's a shame. Yeah. Hopefully they can, keep plugging away and sort of do something with the story beats. That's certainly unique. But hey, best of luck to them, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, should we go back to the podcast? Okay.
Yes, I'm going to run away now. Bye.
Bye, James.
Time now for question 2. What a nice review corner that was.
It was
Thanks,
great.
gents.
Bye, James.
Bye, James.
Bye.
Get out of here.
He's gone.
Liam Carpenter Robson asked this question, and he said, "Hello, Bap.
Hello.
Xbox news again." With the announcement that you can download their app on Amazon Fire Stick and play games with a Bluetooth connected controller, including PlayStation controller. Buying a Fire Stick controller and monthly pass, think it's only the most expensive tier you can buy, is overall much cheaper than buying a home console, so could appeal to casual gamers. However, as this is played through cloud gaming, this feels like it could be another Google Stadia. What are your thoughts on this?
Thanks, Liam.
Thank you, Liam.
Thanks, Liam.
I certainly think this could be a bit of a, not quite a Scroogel. We understand those words, but it could be a bit of a PlayStation service where they say, hey, here's a thing, and then it's sort of nothing really happens with it anymore. Here's some new hardware and fun stuff to try. We're not going to really support it very much. However, I don't think it's comparable to Google Stadia, because the biggest issues that Google Stadia had was it was a whole new sort of infrastructure. It was largely a new library of games. They managed to get, Ubisoft to come and give them a handful of things that people recognize, but it was mostly like, oh yeah, hopefully we'll get some new and interesting software on here, and no established audience. So this is different in the sense that it's going to be your Game Pass library, and some people will already have a Fire Stick anyway, and you can just sit down and play Xbox games in this manner if you so choose. It's just another way to cloud game, which some people are already doing in the Xbox kind of community. So it might be that like not many people pick it up and decide to actually use this, but I don't think it'll be a Google Stadia in the sense that it'll be a huge kind of failure, because it probably doesn't actually cost Xbox that much to even have set this up in the first place and to maintain it. I don't quite know how servers and things work, but they might even not have to have dedicated servers for this. It might just all work on the same established systems that are there. So yeah, I don't think it can go as wrong as Google Stadia did.
Well, no, it's not an all or nothing kind of like, this is how you play the game and there's no other way of doing it, which is immediately takes it away from Google Stadia. Yeah. Google Stadia's main issue wasn't that it was cloud gaming, in my opinion anyway. The main issue with Google Stadia is that it didn't have a massive games library. It wasn't an entirely great UI on the actual Stadia system. Well, I say system on Stadia. And no one really cared about it. Whereas this, maybe people won't use it. It'd be a bit like the conversation we had about games on phones. Maybe no one will use it, and that's fine, because like you say, it might not cost Xbox any money. It benefits Amazon and it benefits Microsoft if people do use it. It's another reason someone might buy a Fire Stick instead of, say, like a Google Chromecast, because your Fire Stick can run Xbox games if you want it to. People might get Game Pass because they can play it on the Fire Stick without having to use an Xbox itself. So it's a convenient way of playing it. Do I think it's going to change Xbox's entire cloud gaming system? No, it's not really. It's just another way of playing it. And I think that's great. The more people that can play games, brilliant. It's much cheaper than buying a console. yeah, okay, maybe the games won't run super well and you have to have a good internet connection for these games to work. However, if you're someone who potentially doesn't have the money to fork out on a console as well as Game Pass, but you do have a Bluetooth controller and an Amazon Fire TV stick, then why wouldn't you jump into it and see what games that you can play?
I keep
and
putting off
experience?
buying an Xbox. You know, I keep saying I want to, and I'm like, I could spend that on something else. You
Yeah,
know? But
I just don't need
this would be
one.
well, yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, I think it's a great thing, and I don't think it's going to go the way of Stadia. Maybe it won't last that long, but I don't necessarily think they need it to, really.
Yeah, I think it's a nice idea. I do. I think it's a good way for people to potentially get their foot in the door of the Xbox ecosystem. I am a bit concerned about it being an Amazon Fire Stick, though, and admittedly, I haven't used an Amazon Fire Stick for years. But my experience with them previously was that they were really, really sluggish.
Yeah, I had a really old one.
And it could be that that's very different now. They could be a lot faster. And I assume that once you boot the app, it'll be a bit more responsive. My only concern is that this could be absolutely terrifying to a casual gamer looking to get their foot in the door. The prospect of having to stream games rather than owning a dedicated box, which is something they're already not willing to do, might be already a bit too complicated, even though it's not really that complicated, but it's a new thing that they've got to learn. Having to add another subscription service on top of other subscription services that they already have could also put them off, even if it does allow them access to flip in loads of games and is technically really good value. They are still going to have to go for the top tier, as Liam said, because that's the one with cloud gaming on it. And also, there may be way more games than they could possibly know what to do with, which is the case for people who actively play games anyway.
Yeah.
And if they're a more casual gamer or looking to dip their toes, they might feel that having to pay whatever the top tier costs to access everything would potentially be a bit of a waste of money for them because they don't want to have access to that many games.
It's a bit of a niche kind of person that this is for.
It is, for sure.
I pictured more like someone who perhaps they're a PlayStation gamer and they want to get into, you know, or maybe they used to have an Xbox and kind of got rid of it and they're like, oh no, I want to
There's
start
a few
doing
games
that.
I could,
rather than someone totally new, because I think you're right. It's probably daunting.
You extend that further and you've got to have internet speeds good enough to stream a game. And if you're a casual gamer, that it's probably pretty unlikely that you have really good internet because, so yes, as you guys have said, this does fit the profile of someone who probably already has other ways potentially to access Game Pass. And if they could, why wouldn't they do that? Because it's probably going to be a better experience. I'm not saying this is a bad idea, but when you break it down into its constituent parts, I do struggle to see a broad appeal for this kind of approach. But it does further Xbox's mission statement of Game Pass on everything, even though, based on what we talked about last week, maybe that's slightly being rolled back.
Well, I think that this is the most interesting thing about this is that it's another like point on the next Xbox console won't be a console type situation. Yeah. We keep seeing them branch out into various ways of playing Xbox games without owning an Xbox. And we've talked before about like, oh, well, how are they going to sell Xboxes if you can play these games on other things so easily? And again, this might not be the best way to play a game, but if you are someone who's like me and Peter have been kind of putting off buying an Xbox because you're like, well, I don't need it right now. It's not benefiting me at all.
Or like your boy who's on the road a lot.
Or like my boy who's on the road a lot, carries an Amazon Fire TV stick with him wherever he goes.
Yeah, could do.
No, he has a Steam Deck that he sits there and plays. But yeah, I think that like there's lots of ways to play Xbox games without an Xbox. And I think this is another kind of interesting glimpse into what Xbox's business plan is and where we'll see them go in the future, I think.
Ultimately, as always, the success is probably going to come down to how hard Xbox markets this thing at the target demographic, and I don't have a great deal of faith that they will do that.
I would assume it would be more kind of down to Amazon, like it'll probably pop up on
Very true.
Anyone who owns a Fire TV stick will be given that information.
Very true, yeah.
Captive audience.
But is that going to happen? Because Xbox will have to pony up the cash for bloody what they called Amazon to say, hey, look what we got on our stick now. So that is probably, I think, going to play a large part in its success. Hopefully that happens because that is realistically the only way you're going to reach more people. Otherwise, it stays within the core audience of people who know about this stuff anyway, which isn't then reaching new people. So there we are. But I think it's a good idea. It's very nice.
Yeah.
Should we move on to something a bit strange?
Yeah, and it's kind of like breaking right this second.
Is it weird news?
It's weird news time for some weird video game news. Remember, if you'd like to submit some weird news to us, you can do so under the relevant social media post that goes out on a Tuesday. However, if you'd like to guarantee a shout out at this point in the podcast, you need to go to patreon.com/Team TripleJump and support us at the appropriate tier to become a podcast producer, just like
Chip Thompson's thumbs.
GY Goliath.
Nexus Polaris,
Nicole Hansen.
Andy Scott.
Blake Thomas.
Eric Sue.
I'm Kyle Gary.
No.
Yes, that's how you pronounce it.
Is it?
Yes.
You sure?
Yes, because he corrected us on it the last time, and I always write it phonetically, and that's why you've never noticed before. Carry on.
No.
Carry on.
This is why I wanted to ask you, because when I did the running order, I ran it by Fraser, and he said, should have I'm Kyle Geary
Yes,
on
but
there.
that's not how you pronounce it. I've saved us this conversation for the last 6
But
months.
I want to have it now because I'm
We don't-
confused.
I
he-
don't.
Why did he change his name?
He's not changed his name. I changed his name on here
She's
so we
written
didn't
Gary
mispronounce
so that we
it.
say Gary
So
all
when
the
you
time.
run it by Fraser and he says it should say...
I don't run it by Fraser.
Oh my God.
I just do it myself because I don't need
So it's
Fraser's
not
opinion.
Kyle...
I know
It's always
that I
been
am right
pronounced Gary.
because Kyle said this is how you
And
pronounce
she's
it.
Okay.
written Gary.
In
so
my
that we've said
defense,
Gary.
when Fraser sent that to me, I put it in and thought, oh, maybe we've been saying Gary wrong because he's put I'm Kyle Geary with a question mark?
That's his name. Is the question marks.
Okay,
the question
cool.
marks in the username.
Right.
I promise I'm right.
I
believe you.
I believe you too. I just wanted some clarification.
Okay.
Sorry, some clarification.
Yes.
Shaman Nomo,
Greg Gutey.
Melody Elbonette.
Katie Garrod,
Hugh Jas.
Gabrielle Philippink.
Michael Pendlebury.
And Big Money Bobby Vegas.
Wow. Thanks, podcast producers.
Thanks.
I'm glad we cleared that up.
Thanks, Kyle. Specifically.
Yeah, Gary.
I got you back, Kyle. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I didn't doubt anyone.
I got you
I
back.
was just
I've
trying to
got your
update
back,
the podcast
Kyle.
running order with the information I had to hand.
Got a story here
Yeah, go on.
that was found by me and then subsequently also submitted by Dan Wilson at iDanWilson on
Are you
Twitter.
calling Dan a plagiarist?
Yeah. I saw it first.
You stole it.
Step off, Dan. This was written by Ryan Dinsdale, and it's on IGN.com. Fallout London's robot Speaker of the House, played by UK's actual former Speaker of the House.
Who is it?
John. It's John.
It's John, old Johnny.
Oh, Johnny.
Expansion-sized Fallout 4 mod, Fallout London, has already secured the likes of Baldur's Gate 3's Neil Newbun for its voice cast, but now has announced that, bizarrely, former UK Speaker of the House John Burko will star too. Order! As reported by VG 24/7, Fallout London project lead Dean Carter revealed in the Fallout London Discord that its post-apocalyptic version of the UK capital will still have a Speaker of the House, the Member of Parliament who chairs debates between political parties, and in true Fallout fashion, the position is now held by a robot. But who's voicing that robot? Burko, of course, as the article has already told us twice, who served as Speaker of the House from 2009 to 2019. The only, I believe, Speaker of the House, certainly in recent memory, who wasn't knighted afterwards.
Oh.
It's tradition that they are all knighted, but they don't have to be.
The Queen's been busy,
He
isn't
went
she?
on to the traitors.
But like Boris, I think, was cross that John Burko didn't just let them do whatever they wanted with Brexit, and so he chose not to give him a knighthood.
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah. Imagine being Fallout London and feeling so lucky having all the talented voice actors on the team, and then boosting it further with the fact we have 2 Doctor Who actors as voice actors, and then Neil Newborn messages us and also wants a role, Carter said in the post.
Oh, is that how we do it? We just message and say, "Can I have a role?"
I
And
guess
then they
so.
give you a role.
Can we do that? Yeah.
We can try. It sounds like it's pretty finished, though.
Damn.
But the cherry on top, who better to represent our mod's version of the Speaker of the House than a robot version voiced by John Burko himself? I think it's just going to keep saying that over and over.
John
for the rest of the
Burko.
article.
That's kind of
John Burko is
that's
in
kind
it.
of the main story.
Yeah,
That's cool. That's
the 2
cool.
Doctor Who voice actors who are also in it are Colin Baker and Sylvester McCoy, both former actual doctors, not just actors from the show,
Oh,
but like actual doctor actors. They
So
played the
who?
Doctor.
Colin Baker.
Colin Baker and
So
Sylvester
there were two
McCoy.
Bakers
Oh, really?
who played Doctor
Yeah,
Who.
Yeah,
Colin
there
and
were,
Tom
yeah,
Baker.
Tom and Colin.
Interesting. A
But yeah,
conspiracy.
those are both in it apparently, doing some voice
I was
work.
going to ask which ones. I thought it might be Paul because he's in everything.
Yeah, he's in. I mean, he was in
A Wales
Mia.
Interactive game.
Even
Yeah.
the Dragon Princess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. His best
I have some news.
Mm-hmm.
It was submitted by a whole bunch of people. Are you ready? Joach Dix and James Matthews, no relation on Facebook, both top fans though. Callum Bird at C_Bird 6041 and Connor Bennett at C_Bennett_12
12.
on Twitter.
12.
By IGN by Wesley Yin Poole. And this is definitely just a marketing ploy, but I like it anyway.
Yes.
Microsoft has made an Xbox controller shaped like Deadpool's ass. Cheeky is the subtitle.
Yeah, very good.
Very nice.
To coincide with the upcoming Marvel movie Deadpool and Wolverine, Microsoft has made a new Xbox controller shaped like Deadpool's ass. Revealed on Xbox Wire, the new Xbox wireless controller it's confusing because Xbox Wire and it's an Xbox wireless controller. It's modelled after Deadpool's much discussed, perfectly rounded tush. Microsoft called the new Xbox pad the cheeky controller and said it channels Deadpool's buns of steel in its firm, yet surprisingly comfortable grip. Check it out in all its glory. There you are.
It's
Look.
good. It's really
a real
good.
perky
It's
bum.
nice, yeah.
Annoyingly, Microsoft's making this Deadpool ass Xbox controller available only to the competition winners, as it's done repeatedly with the previous eye-catching accessories. Fans aged 18 plus worldwide can enter for a chance to win this Deadpool controller if they want to. There's more to this collaboration. On July 22nd, the first 1,000 fans to buy an Xbox Elite Wireless Controller Series 2 Core from the Xbox Store get an exclusive Cable Guys Deadpool controller holder by EXG Pro to enhance their gaming setup.
It's got a lot of squoogles in there.
Yeah,
But the
it is.
ass one doesn't fit in the charger. I
No,
imagine.
probably not.
not.
And there's a custom Deadpool-inspired Xbox Series X that stand featuring foam versions of Deadpool's katanas, B and Arthur. Did you know they had names? I
No.
didn't. The Xbox wireless controllers, there's also a competition prize also. And that movie's coming out soon.
Yes.
And
I'm finding the
also...
marketing for that a bit cringy, to be honest. I know the whole thing is he's self-aware. and
No,
he
but
makes
it's a
pop
bit.
culture
They're kind of.
references, but-
They've overstepped.
Yeah.
They've gone a bit too far now,
Yeah,
and
I
it's
think
kind of
so.
like, yeah, okay, we get it. That's it.
I'm going to go and see it. I've got some weird news.
I've already been told I'm going to see it. By the way,
your boy.
Yeah,
Your
he
boy's
wanted to. He
taking
wanted me to go watch it at the midnight release, and I
Ooh,
said,
I don't know if I'd see it at midnight.
I said I'll go see it, but I need to sleep.
I might just watch it for Wolverine versus Sabretooth. That's all I'm invested in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a fun little callback.
My weird news is from Dan at Tree Smurf on Twitter, top fan.
A Smurf.
Tree
a
Smurf.
tree
We've
Smurf.
infiltrated the Smurfs.
Green ones.
We have
Sick.
indeed. This is an article from Games Radar Plus written by Catherine Lewis. Laughing, then crying in the face of 1 in 8,000 odds, the luckiest and unluckiest Pokemon Sapphire player finds 2 shiny starters at the same time and then immediately loses them both. So I'll explain what's going on here, and then there's a video, and his reaction is very good.
Okay.
No.
In what might be the most upsetting Pokemon shiny fail I've ever seen, one hunter somehow managed to get not 1, but 2 shiny starter Tricos in Sapphire versions simultaneously before immediately losing them both in a split-second muscle memory disaster. It hurts. Shiny Pokemon are rare. Up until Generation 6's X and Y games, the odds of finding a sparkly new friend with an alternate color palette were a whopping 1 in 8,192, meaning there's a good chance that even the most passionate players have never managed to encounter one. With that said, there's a large community out there constantly aiming to challenge those odds by hunting down specific shiny Pokemon, running around getting wild encounters, resetting their games, and hatching eggs until something sparkles.
God.
Yeah.
It's good to have hobbies.
I'm just
isn't it?
just going through here. Alfgar had been resetting his game for a shiny Trico in Pokemon Sapphire using a duped save injected into 4 different ROMs. In theory, allowing him to encounter 4 times as many Tricos at the same time to speed up the process. However, this took a tragic turn after 2 grass-type Tricos, shiny and blue, graced the screen side by side, only to get sent straight back into the void from whence they came. As soon as this happens, it's clear that Alfgar knew what he'd done as he lets out a blood-curdling scream before holding his head in his hands.
So he's sitting there, presumably just
refreshing.
Just
yeah,
going
yeah.
through it over and over
in,
again.
out, backing out, or whatever, and he just accidentally does what he's been doing.
May, would you say? Ish.
Oh no.
Oh, he's really sad.
And then he just sits there really sad. And that was the moment he just
God.
immediately reset the game as soon as he saw them, and then didn't realize until it was too late that he had muscle memoried
heartbreaking.
his game away. The scream is good though.
The scream is
It's
so
a really good scream.
It's the kind of scream you'd hear in like Star Wars, like
Yeah.
as someone gets sent into space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A weird little guy makes that.
Or a
noise.
bodyguard sort of diving in front of some A-list celebrity,
Yeah.
you know.
Cradling in their arms,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah.
Very good. Well,
Well,
that was weird, wasn't it?
it was.
It's time, everyone, for the big discussion. It's big discussion time. Time for the big video game discussion. This week's big video game discussion comes courtesy of Cameron Keywood, who says, with the news of Crash 5's cancellation and the bad reception to Rumble, is Crash as an IP being put to rest alongside his fellow brethren Banjo, Kazooie, and Conker? Those are different games. Or is he going into hibernation like Han Solo? Kind regards, Cameron Keywood. I have a write-up here from VGC, and this is by Andy Robinson, who said, a former Toys for Bob artist has claimed that a fifth Crash Bandicoot game was cancelled at the studio. Concept artist Nicholas Cole made the claim in an X thread this weekend, in which they shared news that a separate project they'd been working on with another studio, Project Dragon, had been cancelled. Responding to fans speculating that the project could be related to Spyro due to its codename, Cole said it was not, but claimed that a version of Crash 5 had been cancelled. There's a quote here. It is not Spyro, but some there's some and then space day. So it's like he's saying someday, folks, rather than someday. Folks will hear about the Crash 5 that never was, and it's going to break their hearts, they wrote. In another reply, Cole claimed that Project Dragon and Crash 5 were two totally separate cancelled projects at two different studios. Crash Bandicoot developer Toys for Bob split from Activision this year following Microsoft's acquisition of the Call of Duty publisher. The studio later revealed it had signed a publishing agreement with Microsoft for its next game.
Indeed.
Well, Peter, I think you maybe have some clarification here, potentially.
Well, I do, although that was a good write-up, but I did bring these along just to say,
No, he's put his glasses on.
actually...
He got them out so quickly, and then you carried on talking, and he just kind of sadly put them away in his pocket.
Well, Ben told me yesterday, bring your glasses, and then I've got them. Actually, well,
You
that
did
was...
it, that's what I pictured.
You picked a good write-up there. There have been a lot of...
I should have picked a bad one.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, next time.
Lots of people have been reporting all sorts of things. So you just explained what happened there. He was on something called Project Dragon. He's a freelance artist who's worked closely with Activision and Toys for Bob. It was called Project Dragon. Some people said, oh my God, that means Spyro 4 is cancelled. No, that's not what it means. So he then went to the comments, said, no, it's not Spyro 4. But incidentally, there was a Crash 5 that's been cancelled that people are going to be sad about.
Someday, folks.
Someday folks are going to be sad
Not
about.
the day folk.
People then jumped on that and said, oh my God, Crash 5 has been cancelled.
No, idiots, pay attention.
I stopped working at Activision in 2021. Well, he didn't say that, but that is what happened. He's not worked there for like 3-4 years. So the story is he's been working on something else with Phoenix Labs that was codenamed Project Dragon. He's been posting all the art because some sort of timer is up where he's allowed now to post this stuff online, all this concept art. And off the back of that, various news websites have not been doing their job properly and reading these things and have been reporting actual headlines that just say Spyro 4 has been cancelled, Crash 5 has been cancelled, as though they were being worked on until last week, which is not what's happened.
Right.
I don't think necessarily that Crash is going into hibernation. Crash Team Rumble clearly didn't do very well, but I do wonder partly if the reason that game is no longer being supported is simply because Toys for Bob, who developed it, were probably going to be dissolved by Activision, but then sort of bought themselves out and are now independent. And
I think it also probably has something to do with the fact that it was boring and bad.
oh yeah, I mean definitely.
No one was
boring and
playing it.
bad.
Yeah.
No one was playing it. It never should have been made in the first place. But I do wonder if we were not in the current scene that we're in with video game studio closures and stuff, and things were just going fairly smoothly at Activision. If Toys for Bob was still on their books, maybe they'd still just be supporting the game for another year or two. So I think it's partly just because the studio were gotten rid of. And they thought, well, I'm not going to hire someone else to keep maintaining that game. It's not making us money anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if he's necessarily going into into hibernation based off the fact that one multiplayer game did very badly. Crash 4 has just hit like a crazy milestone with millions of sales and actual physical sales as well, not downloads.
And that was
5 million or
2020,
something.
wasn't it? That came out 2020?
Yeah, I think so.
Crash 4.
It's about time.
Was it that long ago?
The
was
last
quite a
Crash
while.
Bandicoot
COVID.
game, It's About Time, released in 2020.
Good
according
grief.
to
It didn't
this,
feel quite that long ago.
So
to
it
me.
has been 4 years since we've had a proper Crash.
Yeah.
And I mean,
It's been even longer since we had a Spyro.
I was going to say, it's very easy to talk about both at the same time. So why don't we just do that?
Yeah.
Spyro was 2018 for the Reignited
yeah.
trilogy.
Yeah, allegedly it's in development. A lot of people who are somewhat reliable have inside sources saying Toys for Bob are working on Spyro.
I was going to say, this might be a silly question, but do Toys for Bob still own the IPs for both of them now?
No,
that
they
they've left?
are currently all we know officially is that they're working on something for Xbox and Activision. So they're an independent studio now, but they have a contract with Xbox.
Right.
And people who have contacts at Toys for Bob are saying it is Spyro 4.
I mean, they changed their website to just be a picture of the mask.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
the other thing though.
That was confusing.
Another
too.
confusing and slightly controversial thing. Like apparently they've long had a kind of a tiki vibe. Their studio was all done up like a kind of a tiki bar, even before they were working on Crash Bandicoot. And so, like some responses to that were like, "Don't get excited. This isn't Crash Bandicoot related."
Yeah.
But equally, they've changed all their branding to like purple kind of crystalline gem related imagery. Is
Yeah.
that Spyro? Don't know, but that's what the scuttlebutt is.
I see.
That they're working on Spyro.
So you don't think that the underperformance of the bad one, what was it called? Rumble is going to impact.
I hope it impacts them never making a multiplayer game.
Well, that's
ever again.
true, yeah.
Well, not never. I mean, they did a good job with Crash Team
Racing.
Nitro Fueled, I suppose. So if they wanted to make a new one of those, maybe they'd do a good job of it. I don't know. But, I mean, all I know is Crash 4 has done really well, or quite well. I think it's sold 5 million physical copies, which isn't to be sniffed at. So I think, they couldn't go far wrong by making a fifth one. Don't know. I don't know. I think it's not bad that a Crash 5 was in development in 2021 and was then canned, because by the sounds of it, it was in a very, very early conceptual stage. And I think this stuff is happening all the time.
Yeah.
People pitch stuff to studios. They start probably 3 completely different versions of the same game in the very pre-production stage. And then a bunch of them get canned. Just because in 2021 Crash 5 was cancelled doesn't mean to say that they're not talking about eventually doing one in a few years' time. I don't know. I don't think I think it's just this doesn't. There's not enough information here, is what I think. I think this doesn't mean that like that's it now. It's bad news for Crash. I think it's just we don't know enough to say one way or the other.
It is kind of mental that we haven't had another one yet.
Yeah.
I know
I
games
think there's
take a
a lot
very long
about
time to make, but
A
still.
lot of games at that point. Like, I feel like we say that a lot about some of these kind of classic games. Of recent years, it's been like, wow, I can't believe we've not had another one yet. And then it's like, I feel like nowadays you either get a sequel in the space of like 2-3 years, or it takes like 15 years and a special anniversary
It's just so
for
mad,
another
though,
game
isn't
to
it?
come out.
Because the Reignited trilogy and the Crash trilogy as well.
Insane trilogy.
Insane trilogy did so well.
Yeah.
Well enough, obviously, that they immediately put Crash 4 into production, and we got that 3 years later, because that would have been 2017.
I think
Yeah.
I'm more
Insane.
surprised about Spyro than Crash.
Me too.
Well, that's sold 10 million now, I think.
And I much prefer Spyro to Crash. So I'm very invested in seeing another Spyro game, not so much Crash. And I want it. It feels like it would just be such a win for them.
Currently,
to have something alongside Call of Duty as well.
we're in the Chinese Year of the Dragon as well, so people were getting kind of excited in the lead up to this year, thinking this is it. Like,
Well, they periodically try and trick people into thinking something's going to happen
Yeah.
by like being like, "Oh, is this a clue?" And it's like, "No, just jokes, just jokes."
Got ya.
Nerds. Got ya.
I think they've had a bit of a tumultuous time, and I suspect they probably were wanting to have a Spyro maybe done by now, but because they've had issues and stuff, things have been slowed down.
There was like a few like really tiny mergers that no one even talked about for a little bit that maybe has affected them.
Yeah, and there was with regards to Crash and to Crash Team Rumble, there was a leaked kind of development and release timeline for both, I think, Crash 4 and Crash Team Rumble. Before Crash Team Rumble was even confirmed, this like document got leaked, and that was supposed to be out, I think, 6 to 12 months before it actually came out. So it was never officially delayed because it wasn't officially announced until the actual release date that it did come out on was given as the release date. But internally, they'd been planning on releasing it like a year earlier. So, you know, because Toys for Bob were put on COD support.
What a stupid decision that is.
Yeah. So I think, you know, things were slowed down. They probably had always intended to have done a bit more, a bit sooner by now. And hopefully it's just that they've been slowed rather than stopped.
If Spyro is or was in production and still is, do you think it's at Toys for Bob if they were then sent to do Call of Duty work? Surely that might have meant the cancellation of the Spyro or put on hiatus, or it's somewhere else entirely.
I don't know, like, if at that time they were working on something that was either like just put on hold and has now been picked up, or if it was canned, or if they weren't working on anything Spyro related at all. I mean, that was some years ago now as well, wasn't it? That they were put on Call of Duty. That was like early 2020s. I don't know, 2021, 22.
It's sad. I don't like the thought of them having to do that, because no studio should have to work support for Call of Duty.
Well, they're not now. But,
no, that's very true. I do wonder if I've completely forgotten the point that I was going to make, but I really hope that we see Spyro soon.
Yeah, it's supposed to be what they're doing.
Yeah,
according to people who have a good record of knowing these things. So,
and if we ever want to know about Spyro or Crash, we'll just ask you.
We'll just ask you.
Because you're on the Reddit.
You seem to know what's going on.
I do follow all the...
Your uncle works there, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
Your uncle's
He's
Bob.
Yeah, it's his toys.
He makes the toys for himself.
Yeah,
of course he does.
Uncle Bob.
I was going to say that, I mean, we've seen like a lot of these kind of mascot platformer type games disappear of recent years, but there's still like a few that pop up now and then. And I don't know if it really counts as a mascot platformer anymore, but things like Ratchet and Clank are still going strong, though we haven't had one of those since 2020 either.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Astro's on the way.
Yeah, exactly.
That sort of counts.
What was that kangaroo one?
KO.
They reappeared recently.
There was that one we saw at one of the...
Toynbee's back.
Penny's Big Breakaway.
Remaster.
Yes, yeah.
And there's that one with what was it called? The marsupial. It was Crash Bandicoot. It was shown at the...
Oh, I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, it was something very similar to Crash Bandicoot, but like as a parody.
It was called like...
Much like
Morris Marsupial.
Much like my issues with Souls-likes, where it just reminds me of Soulsborne games, and I'd rather play From Software ones. That's very much my feeling on. I'm not so desperate for a platformer that I would play any platformer, because I'm just chasing the high of the ones that I know and recognize, and so I would like a Spyro.
It would be lovely to see another Spyro game, or even just hear that a Spyro game is on its way. I think would be, because it's got such a big audience, and there's so many people who grew up playing Spyro who now have kids that I'm sure they would love to be like, this is your father's favorite game, and it's time to experience it together. You
would want Toys for Bob to be working on Spyro if it turns out to be someone else. You know, they're the obvious team for it, given their work on the Reignited trilogy. Any luck finding it there, Peter?
No, not quite. But the thing about the mascot platformer is, like, it is actually a very dated genre. And so I think really probably the only ones that are probably going to do that well going forward are the ones that already have the kind of the legacy or the heritage. I think it's a real uphill battle if you want to come along and say, hey, here's this brand new character from a big studio. It's a mascot platform. It plays exactly the same as Crash or Spyro. You're going to love it. And some people who are really into it will pick it up, but it's just never, I don't think, going to
It's not going to do numbers.
No, but you can release an identical game, but there's a purple dragon doing the same thing, and that one potentially will have, will be the one that does the numbers and get the sales. Can't find what it's called.
Darn.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you know what it is, let us know in the comments below. And thank you very much for listening and watching to us this week. We hope you're well. There's a few places you can find us on the
Watching
internet.
to us.
Watching to us.
Yes.
Watching of us. There's a few places you can find us on the internet. Peter's going to tell you about a couple of them right now.
YouTube.com and Twitch.tv/Team TripleJump. All of our videos, of course, go out on YouTube, and most of our streams happen on Twitch, apart from a few special ones on YouTube now and then. And if you have got Amazon Prime and you're playing Xbox on it now, how exciting! That's not how it works. Then you also have a Twitch sub as part of your Amazon Prime bundle, so you can redeem that against us, and you get all the benefits of being a subscriber at no extra cost.
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, on all of which we are at Team TripleJump. Why not give us a follow? And patreon.com/Team TripleJump if you'd like to support us.
Our website is triplejut.mp. There you can find links to everything that we do. And why not leave a 5-star review on your platform of choice? It helps something to do with Al Gore's rhythms, and we'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Just enough time for this week's sponsor again, Peter.
Yeah, it's, hey, do you love meat replacement? I do, but shoot your gun as well. Flintlock, Siege of Quorn.
The way you describe it makes it sound like there's a meat replacement service because your train's
I
late.
keep thinking it's like there's like a fort Quorn, and we're sieging
You have to
We've got
attack
to
it to
siege it.
siege it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't
it's
think
true.
about the siege part.
No, you didn't, did you?
To the very end, I was looking for that game, but I can't find it. So.
Oh,
Could have
wow.
done sage or something. That would have maybe worked.
Sage
Food,
or
food
just
stuff.
even just piece of Quorn. I mean, that's quite close.
No.
No.
No?
Workshop
Oh.
that. Come back to us
All
next
right.
week.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye.